2023 was a big year for video games, both positively and negatively, but today we are focusing on the positives, as this was one of the best years in the history of gaming, right up there in my opinion with 2018, with God of War, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2, games like that. It's right up there in that company, so this list was not the easiest list to make. It took some time. I sat down, thought about it. It changed a few times. But I finally came down with a list that I thought looked really good and was all the games deserving of being in the top 10. That being said, there were some games that were left out that could have been in the top 10 in almost any other year, but this year was really stacked. But without further ado, these are my top 10 games of 2023. At number 10, I have Final Fantasy XVI. This is one of those games that I was super excited for, especially after all the promotional material with all the big summon fights, where you can fight as characters like Shiva and Ifrit, and just go into big, almost kaiju-like battles, which it looked like I would really love. Now, this game didn't quite live up to those lofty expectations that the trailers had me feeling, as there were some repetitive side activities. Some of the missions were kind of boring and a chore to get through, but when you did get to those big monster fights, they lived up to all expectations, and it left me wondering what could have been if most of the game rotated around that mechanic instead of just the bits and pieces along the way. Regardless, this was a game that by the end I really enjoyed and kept me wondering what would happen next. There is one DLC that has been released that I haven't had a chance to play yet, and an upcoming DLC to come out sometime in 2024, so maybe that'll answer some of the questions some players have had, but regardless, this game was not perfect, but it was a bunch of fun, especially when you got to a lot of those bigger moments, and that is why it is at number 10.
Chai, is it?
Yep.
Profession, rock star?
Future rockstar.
Are you done?
Yes.
At number 9, I have Hi-Fi Rush, a game that was shadow dropped on us at an Xbox Developer Direct event in January. This was a game that kind of combined Jet Set Radio and Sunset Overdrive into one game, and they really pulled it off. The enemies will move in rhythm of the music playing in the background. You will have to time your attack with the beat of the music to maximize your attack and time your parries. I never really played a lot of games like this. I guess I'm terrible at having rhythm, but this one really did it for me. The music was really good. The characters in the game, both heroes and villains, were awesome. I enjoyed almost all of them. The boss fights were great, and some even had me in awe. You get one musical a day, Mitch. Uh-oh. The comedy in the game was also on point almost all the way through. Tango Gameworks deserves a lot of credit here for creating this game when this is way out of their usual genre, as they are the developers of The Evil Within 1 and 2 and Ghostwire Tokyo. So it's really impressive that they were able to go out of their comfort zone to pull this off. It was just a really, really good game that was dropped on us out of nowhere, and it deserves to be on anyone's top games list. At number 8, I have Hogwarts Legacy. And now I know this game was a controversial one, but it was also just a great game. A game that I have been waiting for since I was a child when I was reading the books. A game that was a long time in the making, and in my opinion, they pulled it off very well. Now, the game wasn't perfect. I felt like the main villains could have been a little bit better, and I also feel like they could have changed a few other things, including the at times repetitive combat, but outside that, the game was awesome. The world was everything I hoped a Hogwarts game would be. To be able to explore the school and the surrounding areas was something that I loved and dreamed about doing in a game like this for a long time. Shit! Oh my god. Oh my god. That was a little uncalled for. Flying a broom around everywhere and just racing other students on the broom felt great. The story for the most part was really good, and I felt like they were setting up for future games, which I would really be looking forward to. Just hats off to the developers for bringing this world to life with such care and love. But hey, maybe next time add some Quidditch for us, huh?
And it is in my gazelle form that I have been able to wander the highlands rather freely until now.
Can I ride you? I'm in the corner. Rule number 1 to horror gaming. Don't get stuck in the corner and shoot them repeatedly in the crotch. As long as you follow those steps, you should be good. At number 7, I have Dead Space. Now, I had never played the original Dead Space, which I feel like is kind of a sin for a horror fan as I am, so I was happy they released this remake for people like me and others who were never able to experience it, and now I can see why people love that game so much. The game just had incredible atmosphere, great game mechanics, great boss fights, a really good overall story, and just everything you can ask for from a horror game like this. And to add on top of that, I really do love space horror games, whether it's this one or Alien Isolation or games like that, so this was right up my alley to begin with, and I'm so happy that they were able to bring this classic into modern day. What the fuck? Sir, I'm gonna need you to take a fucking chill pill, okay? I'm gonna need you to calm right the fuck down, because I don't got time for your twitchy shit, okay? Thank you. I did go back and watch some playthroughs of the original Dead Space, and the upgrades they made in this remake were incredible, and Motive Studio deserves all the credit in the world. The way they upgraded the jetpack mechanics so you can freely fly around instead of having to jump from area to area, the Ishimura looked incredible, the guns were great, just everything about this game was a blast for me. And I know this game didn't seem to sell well, and that is just too bad, because I really wanted them to see these remakes through, and maybe they still will, but you know how EA is, so I guess we'll see. But beyond that, a great game and a must-play for any fan of Dead Space or horror. At number 6, I have Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I really loved Jedi Fallen Order. I thought that game was fantastic, and I was really curious on how they were going to follow that up, and in my opinion, I feel like Respawn knocked it out of the park. Of course, at launch, it did have some graphical issues they had to clean up, and I think they have done that since then, but the story itself was awesome. The gameplay was incredible, the old characters evolved in a great way, and the new characters were also great.
Got you, traitor.
What took you so long?
There are multiple worlds in this game, just like in the first game, and they were really cool to explore, as unlike the first game, this game had huge areas on some planets with different sections with different things to do in each area, and I loved that. I can't wait to see what they do with the third game that has basically already been announced, even though not officially. But this is just what a Star Wars game should be, a story-based game that adds to the lore of the universe that has already been set up. We as fans went through a decade of EA screwing up the Star Wars license and not giving the fans what they wanted because all they cared about was gouging us with microtransactions. But when it boiled down to it, the best Star Wars game EA has published with that license was 2 story-based games with no microtransactions and no other extra bullshit. So take that, EA.
Suck it, Oscar!
Bob and weave, motherfuckers. Don't shoot. Why are you guys so fast? I'm Leon motherfucking Kennedy. Woo! I'll take the egg. I'll take this egg. Chickens just be walking around laying eggs and shit. Oh god. Fuck your pitchforks, bro. No! My face! Missed. Missed. What a bunch of fucking losers. Am I right, everyone? At number 5, I have Resident Evil 4, which was another game where I never got a chance to play the original, even though I have always heard good things about it. So this was a big year for me in regards to being able to play these classic horror games that I never got a chance to play back in the day, and none of them disappointed, as Resident Evil 4 was also awesome. Leon is one of the best characters in all of horror, and there is a reason why he is so iconic, even if he does have to deal with Ashley the whole game. I thought that the combat, the story, the creature design, and the boss fights were all great. This game seemed to be very faithful to the original on what I have seen, and I feel like it is very important here, as you don't want to rip away what made the game so good in the first place to people in 2005. I feel like Capcom has found a really good mix of action and horror elements that really bring these games to the next level, as they always seem to deliver. I can't wait to see where the series goes next, if there are going to be more remakes like Code Veronica, or if the next game is going to be a brand new experience. I guess we'll see, but they knocked this game out of the park, and not even Ashley could ruin it.
Was that the sword that seals the darkness? A blade that shatters so easily against my power cannot save you from me. Zelda. You who carries that fragile sword. A link. Raru placed his faith in you. And that was all you could do.
How do you know our names?
At number 4, I have The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. A great game that really builds onto the world that Breath of the Wild started. This game had so much to do, and I enjoyed all of my time with it. Even down to helping that random dude hold his sign up 100 times. Like, bro, bring some shit with you next time and create stuff yourself. Just being able to build bridges to cross pretty much anything was so fun and so satisfying when you got it to work, because in this game, bridges solve all problems. I thought that the side activities and all the backstory visions that Link can find add so much to this game story-wise that you are crazy if you don't try to find them all if you actually care about the story being told. They are so good and so well laid out, and it really shows what Zelda and those other ancients are going through as they try to fight off the threat of Ganondorf many years prior. While this game was visually held back by the Switch, and I can't wait for the Switch 2 to help relieve some of these issues, as I'm sure they maxed out the Switch's capabilities, that is not the game's fault, and with what they had to work with and what is presented here, this was an amazing game with great characters, great combat, really good side activities all the way through, and amazing storytelling. Just an incredible experience overall.
My favorite subject.
Okay. Who's gonna have food?
As if you needed to ask.
You know what? Come meet me at Moonrise Towers.
1 second, I'm making out with Will.
Oh, okay. Have fun.
At number 3, I have Baldur's Gate 3. A game that I didn't even get the opportunity to play until towards the end of the year, but it still left a great impact. This game is loved by almost everyone that has ever played it because it does a great job of telling a story, and also in games like these, character building is the most important thing, and that is where this game shines. Even if you hate a character at one point, you may end up loving them by the end, and vice versa. This game does a great job of that, while some other games in this genre have not done it quite as well. Hell, a lot of games of any genre haven't done character building as well as Baldur's Gate 3 did. While admittedly the pathfinding in the game can be questionable and you can get frustrated with dice rolls and missing on a 90% chance of hitting, this game overcomes that with ridiculously good storytelling, side activities that are both vast and great, but also at the same time missable, so make sure you try to find everything you can because everything is important. If you screw something up, it could cost a character their life or they could leave the group altogether. This is a game where choices do very much matter, as noted by the 17,000 ending variations that this game has. You also have a ton of romance options, including everyone's favorite, Halsin, who shapeshifts into a bear. This game, while not perfect, there are some issues they have to work out, but they do everything else so well that it makes up for it tenfold, and that is why it is at number 3.
Take your seats.
I'm here!
Good morning, class. We have a new teacher joining us today.
Hi. My name's Pete, Mr. Parker. And we are all very lucky today, because this is physics class, and physics is awesome.
At number 2, I have Marvel's Spider-Man 2. The best superhero game I have personally ever played, and that is saying a lot because I loved the Arkham games and I hold them near and dear to my heart, but this game ticked all the boxes for me in all the right ways. The traversal in the game is some of the best traversal I have ever played. Being able to slingshot yourself into the sky and then enter right into the wingsuit and then soaring what feels like the whole map just always felt great. Now, when it comes to the story, I loved it from beginning to end as it really builds off the first game and Miles Morales in a really great way and brings everything to the next level. The combat was really good and was basically a souped up version of the first game's combat, which is what you always want to see in a sequel. You don't want them to completely start over and do something completely different. You just want them to take what you loved about the first game and make it better, and I felt like they did that here. Being able to stealth by creating web tight ropes and then connecting that web to another web and just kind of creating like a whole web highway above the villains never got old. Another thing I loved about this game is some of the side missions. Now, if you do see a trend here, I do love myself a good side mission. Anyone who knows me knows that. If you give me a side mission that feel like they are their own story, I will always love it even more. And while not all of the side activities are like that here, there were enough to make me happy. Insomniac is another one of those studios that just doesn't miss when it comes to their games, and I can't wait to see where the Spider-Man games go next, whether that be a new game or DLC, and I also can't wait to see what the Wolverine game ends up looking like, and no, not through leaks, through actual gameplay that isn't pre-alpha footage when they are finally ready to actually show it off. Fuck that hacker.
Back to the beginning. We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer. Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope without ever knowing the full story.
And my number one game of 2023 is Alan Wake 2, which as far as I'm concerned was a complete masterpiece and a must-play for any horror fan or a fan of the original Alan Wake or Control. The reason I say that is you probably shouldn't play this game unless you have played Alan Wake and Control along with the Control AWE DLC. I mean, you can, but you'll definitely be missing some context as the game goes along that I feel like is important to enjoy this game to its fullest. I had been waiting for Alan Wake 2 for a long time, and it is finally here, and I'm happy all of the fans didn't wait all that time for nothing. The storytelling here is masterclass in a way I feel like only Sam Lake could write. For those who don't know, Sam Lake is the creative director for Remedy. It It was just one of those games that felt like more than just a game to me because it would intertwine the beautiful gameplay graphics right into scenes with real actors, and it didn't feel out of place at all. I really enjoyed my playthrough with both characters of Saga Anderson and Alan Wake. I mean, I already loved Alan, so I knew I would like his story, but Saga was also such a great addition for many reasons, but a big one is she is an FBI agent coming to solve the crimes happening in Bright Falls, and I love a crime-solving case, collecting clues, interviewing people, and just finding any evidence possible to help figure out what is going on. The music in this game is also so good, and it is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, if not my favorite, thanks to Poets of the Fall as the Old Gods of Asgard. And if you haven't listened to Poets of the Fall and you kind of like that mellow rock kind of music, go listen to them. They're great. I am currently playing through the New Game Plus, which has new content and a new ending, so I can't wait to see what that gives me. But this game was not only my favorite game of the year, but also it is now one of my favorite games of all time, and it has earned my number one. And those were my top 10 games of 2023. Like I said at the beginning, this was a really tough decision, especially down towards the bottom at 10 or 9. It changed a few times, but I really do think that these were, at least for me personally, the top 10 games I played for the year. But let me know in the comment section below what your top 10 games are. Let me know if you agree with my list or not. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.